Welcome back to another edition of Where Boro Walk. It's episode 25. And is Michael Carrick rightly under pressure, or just need to back off and just trust the guy knows what he's doing? Recent results at Portsmouth we're going to talk about. It's not going to make a very nice listing. We've got Jonathan, Craig, Sean back with us, and Will is there. Just camera issues. So welcome back to the four of you. Also this week, of course, we're asking you to select your worst ever Boro strikers. Last week, the team put, they selected a goalkeeper from a list of a very long list. We decided on Joe Lumley in the end. But this week, we're putting two strikers at the opposite end of that field. Who are the worst two Boro strikers you've ever seen in Boro history? Right, let's get straight into it then. And we know that there's a midweek fixture that will happen by the time you'll have watched this. So the West Brom game will have gone. But unfortunately, we can't comment too much on that. But before we get into Carrick discussions, Jonathan, how good is it going to be to see this man back at the Riverside tomorrow night? As much as it pains you, perhaps he's not wearing the red.
Yeah, I love it. Tony Mowbray, Boro legend, hero, and he spoke at the Boro match a few weeks ago as a visitor. Was it over Christmas? I think he was. And he talked about, obviously, his illness and his cancer and what he's gone through. And the fact he's back in football, yeah, he's a competitor. I don't care about that. I wish him all the best, and I hope he does brilliant because he deserves it. He's a fantastic guy, and I'd love him at Middlesbrough, but he's at West Brom. Wish him all the best. Okay,
it could be a good game, that one tomorrow night. Obviously, we can't talk too much about the result. Let's focus on Portsmouth if we can for a second. Craig, what went wrong for you?
The same. Even if every time we play someone in the lower half of the league, I don't know whether it's metal or bottle or leadership, but we just cannot dig in and get we get bullied, and we haven't got the players to be nasty and just grind out games. We kind of just lose our heads, and it's like, I don't know whether we're just lacking leadership on the pitch, off the pitch, in the management. I don't know what, but it's happening far too often now.
Yeah, what is it about these relegated side? 1 point from 6 against a relegation side sums this club up. Sean, what is it about you and sides that are way at the bottom? Do you think there's a mentality issue where they underestimate them?
Yeah, a little bit of that. I think the problem is as well, we're playing sides that are scrapping and fighting for stuff, and we have got lots of talent, but we have to scrap and fight first in order to be able to sort of show that talent and win games. But we're just so easy to play against. We're so soft-centered. And the defence obviously have to take part of that blame. But for me as well, all right, we've got 3 attacking players behind our striker that have great flair and are great going forward. And you're not really expecting them to track back a lot. But if that is the case, those 2 in central midfield have to be difficult to play against and have to do the dogged stuff well. And we're just too soft in that area of the pitch, I think. And there's a lack of protection for those centre-backs.
Yeah. Lots of people agree with you. Will, there was some booing at Fratton Park for the first time, certainly of an away game. I'm not sure you were there, but would you, first of all, can you understand why people are doing that, and is it deserved? And 2, would you do it if you were there?
Yeah, I don't get to go to many because of uni, but I was there. It's not nice to hear, and I'm sure for the players it's not nice, but I do think it was justified. I think, well, that's half the section were booing, half clapping, but I think it's the first time I've come away from watching and just thought, what on earth were some of those players doing? I think Finazaz, a lot of people around me were talking about how Finazaz didn't look interested, and he probably should have been taken off for Gilbert earlier. I think Carrick's he knows there's frustration in the crowd, and he's asking for positivity in his press conference today. But when we keep dropping points and putting in performances like that, there's not much to be positive about.
Cheers for that, Will. The gap, Jonathan, to the top has significantly grown, of course, with all these draws, but also the gap between you and that chasing pack. And I include teams like Sheffield Wednesday in this, and QPR and Watford, who, most of them had decent results at the weekend. So this battle for 5th and 6th isn't just between you, Blackburn, and Watford anymore, is it? This is actually, you're not careful, going to turn into like a 7-team scrap for 2 places, and that makes Boro vulnerable, doesn't it?
Yeah, and vulnerable is the right word, and the guys have all picked up on vulnerability. You don't pick up points, especially at home. You're not going to be competing for playoff positions, let alone in contention for automatic promotion. So, and our weakness is defensively. And I watched Burnley against Sunderland on Friday night, and okay, Burnley aren't the most exciting team in my book, but I watched their defensive shape and their discipline and their desire to get back into shape when out of possession. And then I watched Boro against Portsmouth, and it was chalk and cheese. Boro are chasing shadows, running all over the pitch, chasing the ball around, and their shape, etc., was just wrong. And so when you talk about vulnerable, are we going to make the top six? Unless Carrick shows some adaptability and makes some changes in terms of what he's expecting from the players, I don't see how we're going to improve. I can't believe that belief in his system alone is going to change anything. We've got weak positions in like Borges and Barlasa defensively, for example, and they get exposed time in, time out. And if other teams don't have that and can find some consistency, we'll go further down the table because we won't pick up the points. Something's got to change, and it's got to be our defensive rigidity and our defensive shape.
Okay. We don't like calling for managers heads, Craig, and to be fair to the Borough faithful, all season, as Sean will testify and Will, who's been on here for a while, we haven't on this channel discussed it, even though some fans have brought it up. But this weekend, for the first time across social media, I did see a lot more hashtag Carrick out tweets. Alex says Carrick out really starting to take traction now. We have one way of playing. It's embarrassing. Ryder says don't know if I'm Carrick out, but change is needed and needed fast. Otherwise, we ain't going up. As simple as that. One other tweet said, I hope Steve Gibson's got Sean Dyche's number in his phone. I tell you what, your defence will be sorted out. But Craig, what's your take on it? First of all, are you Carrick out yet? And is it fair that some people are now?
No, I'm not Carrick out. I mean, I can understand why people would feel like that. I mean, it's getting so frustrating. And I found myself, especially at the weekend for the first time, I was getting frustrated with him because his post-match press conference and his interview afterwards. I don't see that kind of like that discipline and that kind of. I don't want to see a manager come out and call players out, but he has to come out and publicly. Sometimes a player deserves it, and he won't. And he's always very level. He's on a high. He never gets too high. He never gets too low. He's just always consistently in the middle, emotional wise. And sometimes, like, although fair enough, you want to see him. You want to see something from him, and I'm not seeing it. And I'm thinking we've thrown away another game. Or teams are catching us. We're dropping out the playoffs, and I understand we've got injuries. And as a squad as a whole, at the minute, it's not really good enough. We can't cope with the injuries we've got to key players. But he's built the squad. I think this is his 5th transfer window that he's been at the club. So he's built it. He's players and Kieran Scott's players. So I'm not calling for him. I don't want Carrick to go, but I would like to see something else, a small change, maybe in his persona, or if they do something backroom staff-wise, I don't know. But yeah, I think something needs to change a little bit.
All right. Cheers for that, Craig. Sean Brander says, bring me a competent manager with a plan B, please, because Carrick isn't the answer. Craig says, there's no fight in this bang average group of players and coaching staff. There's also no ambition from the top, and Gibson needs to take a look at himself. Where's Steve Gibson's head at if you're Gibson now, and what do you think? How many games has Carrick got, do you think, to save himself?
For me, I'm like Craig. I wouldn't like to see Carrick out, and I think if you're Steve Gibson, the slight issue is if we were way out of proceedings and not within a chance of playoffs and stuff, I think you would probably think about taking a risk and bringing somebody else in. The fact that we are there and thereabouts, it represents more of a risk for me if you then bring somebody else in, wholesale changes, a different way of playing, a different idea of philosophy and things like that, then you are risking jeopardising that spot. We are still, fortunately, for one reason or another, maybe the lack of competitive teams in the league, I don't know, but we're still in there. And if we can put a run together between now and sort of April and May, then we still have an opportunity. So I think I can't see anything other than keeping Carrick in unless we have a really drastic run of results.
Okay. The problem is, Will, that as we've spoken about before, he can't beat this low block and he can't beat teams that set up to defend. And you are going to the kings of this tactic this weekend when you rock up to Deepdale and play Preston, because that is exactly how they set up. So this is a big game for him this weekend at Preston, isn't it? To show that you can actually go against these type of teams and get a result.
Well, there's a chance we could finish this week as low as 10th, with teams coming up on us, points, the margin getting smaller. He needs to adapt. He needs to play a way that suits the style of the players. You can't have Dan Barlaser playing as a defensive midfielder when one of his biggest issues is defending. I'm not exactly sure what's going on with the left-back situation. Both goals against Portsmouth were shockingly bad defending from both left-backs, I thought. Not sure if Ryan Giles is going to help that. But yeah, I think it's getting difficult. I want Carrick to succeed. I really do. I like the way that we play, and sometimes we look amazing. And if we went up, then I genuinely think we could, push on from there. But as Craig and Sean both mentioned about having maybe another head back in the backroom staff, a bit of experience, a bit more character to try and see it through for the rest of the season.
Okay. All right, then. We'll leave that discussion there. Let us know what you think in the comments. Thank you very much, you for that. AI have quickly predicted the rest of Middlesbrough's away results. Starting with Preston, it says you'll get a draw. It has said that you'll win quite a lot. Wins at Stoke, at Bristol City, Swansea, Luton, Blackburn, Millwall and Coventry, with draws at Sheffield Wednesday, Sheffield United and Preston. So there's only one loss to come, which is at Blackburn, which is obviously probably because you haven't beaten them yet since you've played them this season. So I'm not sure AI have been watching Boro recently, Jonathan, but you'd definitely take that, wouldn't you, as a route forward?
Well,
games.
Yeah, Preston. I reckon Preston's awful, isn't it? I'm not sure last time we even beat them there. I mean, well, where they got that one from, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, look, although we lost at the weekend, we I think we've won 2, but we've only lost a couple as well in terms of recent matches as well. So it's not horrific. So unbeaten's not kind of out of the realms, but it's to say I'm not too sure we'll get too many victories in there as well. It's draws seem to be rather popular with us at this moment in time. So yeah, unbeaten will be okay. But we talked about this a good dozen times now. It's just frustrating because with the right players, under Carrick, we would be a fantastic team. But clearly, Will's touched it already. Barlaser defensively, for example, that he should have been changed. He shouldn't be in the team in my book because of his defensive frailties. He should. I'd love to see Carrick try something else. And if he did, then I think fans might be warm to him a lot. Say, I think he went to 3 at the back. Was it last season after we went 7 defeated. He did something different to stop the rot. I don't see what he's doing differently. And hence why AI is saying, unbeaten. Well, maybe not. Who knows, to be honest with you. God damn it. I couldn't forecast what Boro are going to do. I can tell you they're going to be bloody frustrated if they don't change, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm never putting money on them again, I'll tell you that much. Before we move on from the Portsmouth result, we also must mention a big thank you to all the Boro fans that went down, 2,400 odd. And obviously with the sad news that a Portsmouth fan passed away at that ground, the Portsmouth fans were saying just how great the Boro fans were during that period, entirely respectful, and so yeah, well done to anyone who's there in those circumstances. Finally, this week, as we're doing through the whole of January, we're putting together our worst ever Middlesbrough 11. Last week, we asked the team to put together their worst ever goalkeeper. They decided to put Joe Lumley in goal. So now we're looking for the 2 strikers, which should go at the opposite end of the pitch. So one name each, please, if that's okay. Who's the worst ever Boro striker that you have seen in your lifetime? Well, in the Championship era of 20 years. Let's kick this off with Craig.
I'd go Rudy Jested.
Ooh, good one.
I'd have to, 100%. I'd drive him to wherever you want me to put him as well, or piggyback him.
It's a good shout, Will.
I was thinking the exact same, and now I have to try and think of someone else.
We'll come back to you then, shall we? Get me thinking on Sean.
Well, I had a few that probably played in the Premier League era in
That's okay.
Jason Ewell and Michael Ricketts, but I'm going to go with someone in the in Strachan's sort of Scottish era. I'm going to go Chris Killen.
Oh,
I thought about him too. To be fair, you could have had a few Strachan signings. It was Chris Boyden, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jonathan.
I saw Chris Killen came up in the comments someone made on last week's pod. Chris Killen and Caleb Folan came up on there.
Yeah, we were going to shout them out, but you beat us to it. Thank you for posting that. That's okay. Go on then, Jonathan.
Well, you know what? In more recent, I was going to go for, just because he annoyed the hell out of me, Aaron Connolly. I wasn't a fan of him at all, especially when we had Balogun. I think Connolly got most games than Balogun. That frustrated the heck out of me, I have to say.
Right.
So, I wasn't a fan of him, and maybe Premiership. But are we allowed two, or is it only one?
You can have two if you want.
Oh, I go Lee Dong-gook as well from Southgate.
Hey, you've had some bad ones when you think about it over the time, haven't you? Just listening to all this, Will, have you managed to pluck any more out from your long memory?
I'm genuinely not just saying this, but I was going to say Aaron Connolly as well. So I'm going to agree with Craig and Jonathan about the strikers that I've seen in my lifetime. I'll go with just Aaron Connolly.
All right, brilliant. Let us know in the comments below if you've missed any. To let us. You've had some cracking ones as well, and remember the days of Yakubu. Watching Yakubu at Boro was just a dream. Proper striker, wasn't he? Right, let us know in the comments if we've missed any, and enjoy your games this week. Enjoy your trip to Preston. Wrap up warm. It's cold up here in Lancashire this time of year, and we'll let you know, of course, how we get on, of course, next week. Drop us a subscribe if you haven't yet done so, and thank you very much for joining us. Cheers, fellas. Have a great week.